घति गुरुमेव भजे गुरुनैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरुः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरुः मतिरस्ति गुरो मम पाहि गुरु सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतः क्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेदमपेदकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेदि तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेतः। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः. We are seeing Srimad Bhagavada Purana and we are seeing Canto 8 in it. In my last video, we saw that out of jealousiness, the Asuras went to fight with the Devas. And when they saw the Devaloka, it was so beautiful. And they fought with the Devas. And the Devas went into hiding. And now the Asuras conquered the heaven. The Devas were staying with their mother Aditi Mata. And they all were driven up from the heaven, that is from the Devaloka. And the Asuras conquered that position. So the Devas were deprived of their wealth, power, status, everything. And they all went into hiding. And the Aditi Mata, she came back and she stayed in her ashrama. Kashyapa Prajapati, her husband and the father of the Devas, he went to do tapas. So she was alone in the ashrama, always lamenting over the ill fate of the Devas, of her children. What happened, even in spite of taking the Amrita, having the Amrita, they were not able to conquer their heaven. So they all were hiding somewhere and I am alone here. So she was continuously worrying like this. And one day, Kashyapa Prajapati, he came back from the tapas and she asked us, Aditi Mata, what's the reason for it? And she said that, see the fate of my children. They were hiding somewhere and I am also here. I was staying there with all, enjoying all their success and power, but they were driven off by the Asuras. So I have come back and what ill fate is it? What injustice is it? Like that she lamented to her husband Kashyapa Prajapati, and Kashyapa Prajapati laughed inside and said that, see the Maya of Bhagavan. For some days he will make everyone to win, and some days he will just snatch away that or everything from them. So and he advised Aditi Mata to worship Bhagavan Vasudeva. He is that supreme power, so you worship him, he said. And Aditi Mata said that, how to worship him? I have worshipped him in all the ways. How to worship him in a new way? What form of Bhagavan will I worship? Where to worship him? And Kashyapa Prajapati said, I will teach you a method to worship Bhagavan Vasudeva, which was instructed to me by Brahmadeva. So that I will teach you, and that is the Payovrata. Falgunasyamale pakshe dvadashyaham Payovratah Archaye Daravindaksham Bhaktya Paramayanvitah. One should worship Daravindaksha, that is Bhagavan Vasudeva, in the bright fortnight of the month of Falguna. So in that bright fortnight, one must worship Bhagavan by offering milk. Milk is very important in this vrata. So the person, that a devotee who observes this vrata, must take the milk for the next 12 or 13 days. One must observe this vrata in the bright fortnight. And he instructed Aditi Devi about the rules and regulations of the Payovrata. Payovrata is a very powerful vrata which will erase the sin or all the sins of a person, and it will help them to attain all the desires. So, on the previous day of observing the Payovrata, that is on the 14th day of the dark fortnight. So, one must take the mud that was dug by the wild boar Varaha. One must take the mud and must express the gratitude towards the Bhumi Devi as well as the Varaha Murti. One must say that Bhagavan in the form of Bhagavan Sri Hari in the form of Varaha, he retrieved you from the Patala Loka, from the Rasatala Loka, and he placed you on the water of the Pralaya, water of Pralaya, cosmic water, and because of that only we are able to stay here and exhaust our karmas. And one must thank Bhumi Devi for allowing all of us to stay on her and do the karmas. And one should also worship Sri Hari in the Varaha Avatara and worship Bhagavan, because only he retrieved the earth from the Rasadala, from the Ashuras, isn't it? So one must have gratitude towards Bhagavan also. So one must worship Narayana as the Varaha Murti as well as Bhumi Devi, and take the mud and spread all over the body to clean themselves, and then take a bath in a river. So from the next day only one must observe the Payovrata. On the day of that Payovrata, that is for the next 12 days, the first day what one must do is, one must have the Vigraha of Bhagavan Sri Hari and do milk abhisheka for that Vigraha, and then apply sandal paste and put a sacred thread around that Vigraha. Then decorate the Bhagavan, gave him that silk robe, yellow color silk robe, and all that garlands, tulsi garlands, and lotus garlands, some ornaments. Then one must decorate the Vigraha of Bhagavan. One must not think that it is the Vigraha or idol. One must assume that it is Bhagavan himself. Touch his feet, worship Bhagavan with complete faith and devotion. And after that, one must give the Naivedya, that is the rice cooked in milk and jaggery. Only milk is very important for this vrata. So one must offer that as the Naivedya, and then worship Bhagavan by chanting the Dwadashakshari mantra, that is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One must chant this mantra with full concentration, faith, and must imagine that Bhagavan is standing in front of us. One must assume like that and worship Bhagavan. So after all the pujas are over, that person who is observing the vrata must consume that payasa as the prasada and must not take any other food. So like this is the first day. Like this, one must observe this vrata for the next 12 days. And one must purify oneself for the three santhyas, the morning, afternoon, and evening. One must be very pure externally as well as internally, must think only about Bhagavan, take only this prasada and worship Bhagavan. Like this, if a person worship, then that person will attain all the desires. And this is for next 12 days, one must continue it. And for on the 13th day of the bright fortnight, one must do it elaborately. One must invite the priest, acharyas, brahmanas, and perform puja in a very elaborate way, tell the mantra for a much more long time. And after that, one must give this prasada to the invited guests, also to the priest, to the acharyas, brahmanas, and one must give elaborate gifts to the brahmanas and get the blessings of the priests, acharyas, and brahmanas, and then only that person who is observing the vrata can take that prasada. So like this, if one must do the vrata, said Kashyapa Prajapati to his wife Aditi Devi. And Aditi Devi also understood about the rules and regulations of the vrata, and she liked the vrata very much, and she observed as said by her husband Kashyapa Prajapati. And Bhagavan was so pleased by the way she worshipped him with complete faith and devotion. And Bhagavan Sri Hari appeared before Aditi Devi. And Aditi Devi was so happy to see Bhagavan because her vrata also ended in a complete success, and she saw Bhagavan and worshipped him, and she said that you are that Brahman, you are that supreme being, you are here to give good for all of us, to do good for all of us. And she said, Vishwaya Vishwabhavana Sthiti Sanyamaya Swairam Grihida Purushakti Gunaya Bhumne Swastaya Shashwaduba Brahmhita Purna Bodha Vyabadidatma Tamase Haraye Namaste. I worship that Bhagavan who is in the form of this entire world. Swaira, but is by your own will, you have assumed the gunas to create, preserve, and sustain this world. You, by the limitless effulgence of your consciousness, it has scattered the darkness of ignorance. You destroy all the obstacles and the sorrows of all the devotees. So Bhagavan, she said, and she just prostrated before Bhagavan, and she said that if you are pleased, then that devotee will attain anything, whether it is wealth or health or longevity or dharma, artha, kama, and finally moksha. So if you are pleased, whatever they want, they will attain. Like this, she worshipped Bhagavan. And Bhagavan Sri Hari was also very pleased with the observance of that vrata by Aditi Devi. And he was also very pleased with the hymn of Aditi Devi. And Bhagavan said, Oh Deva Mata, I know about your worry and I know about your misery. You are worried that your children were deprived of their power and status and wealth, everything. And what you decide is that you want the devas to go in battle with the Asuras, win over them, and you want to see the devas' victory, and you want to participate in it. That's all you want. But the time is not favorable now. And moreover, the Asuras are supported by holy men. And it is not easy to win over any person who is supported by holy men. And these Ashuras are very firmly and strongly supported by holy men. So it is not easy to win over them in battle. So, but I am pleased with your observance of this vrata, and you have worshipped me with complete faith and devotion. So I will not disappoint a person who has worshipped me. I will never disappoint the prayers of a person, or I will never deny the prayers of any bhakta. So I will be born as your son. I will be, my Amsha Avatara will be born as your son. And only one condition, Bhagavan said to Aditi Mata, he said, Upadhava patim bhadre prajapatim kalmasham mamcha bhavayati patyavevam rupam avastitham. Meditate on this form of mine. That is the in which form she is worshipping in that Vigraha. That same form only Bhagavan appeared before Aditi Mata also. So in this same form, meditate on this form and assume as I am dwelling inside your husband. The same form is dwelling inside your husband. There is Kashyapa Prajapati, and live with him. By time I will be born as your son. My Amsha Avatara will be born as your son. And having said this, Bhagavan disappeared from the vision of Aditi Mata, and Aditi Mata was so happy. And as said by Bhagavan, she meditated this form of Bhagavan as dwelling in her husband. And at the right time, that is, Shronayam Shravanadvadashyam Muhurte Abhijiti Prabhu Sarve Nakshatra Taradhya Chakrusta Janma Dakshinam. On the Abhijit Muhurta, that is the auspicious Muhurta, Abhijit Muhurta is the middle day, midday, and on the holy day of the Shravana Dwadashi. And when all the stars and the planets are in that position, that brings complete success to that birth. And when the moon is in the constellation of Shravana, Bhagavan was born as the son of Aditi and Kashyapa Prajapati in that ashrama. And as soon as Bhagavan was born, she held that small baby in her hand. And when she enjoyed it, Bhagavan appeared or showed the complete Sangha Chakra Gadha Padma Rupa to Aditi and Kashyapa Prajapati. So they were just wonderstruck. What is this? And at that time, many devas, rishis also came to the ashrama of Kashyapa Prajapati. So they all worshipped Bhagavan, that wonderful form of Bhagavan. And Aditi Mata and Kashyapa Prajapati worshipped that full form of Bhagavan. When they worshipped, as soon as they worshipped, immediately he changed the Rupa and appeared as a dwarf, that is, as the Vamana Rupa, with a very short stature, just as a small child of 5 years of age. He appeared in that form. And they all were happy, and all the rishis were there. Many rishis came to see the child. They were all happy. And many saints were there, many priests were there, acharyas were there. They all were very happy. And the rishis performed the postnatal ceremonies for the Bhagavan in the Vamana Rupa. Vamana means a short statured Rupa. They also performed the Upanayana ceremony for Vamana Bhagavan and initiated him into the Gayatri mantra. And Brahaspati gave him the sacred thread. His father Kashyapa Prajapati gave him that grass gitter. And Bhumi Devi gave Bhagavan that skin of that antelope, that is dark day. And Somadeva gave him a staff. And Mother Aditi gave him the loincloth. And the sky deity, he gave him the ambara, that is the amballa. And Lord Brahma gave him the kamantalu. And the Saptarishis gave him the kusha grass. And Goddess Saraswati gave him that Aksharamala. And Kubera, he gave him the begging bowl. And the first Bhiksha was given by Uma Devi. So they all honored Bhagavan Vamana Murti in this way. And immediately after receiving all this, he accepted all this. And he came to know of that Ashwamedha Yajna, that is the great Yajna, performed by the king Mahabali on the northern banks of river Narmada in the place called Bhrigu. In that place, the great Yajna was performed by Mahabali under the instruction of the Bhrigus and especially under the instruction of the Shukracharya. So he came to know of it and he immediately walked towards that place where the sacrifice is being held. And he just walked inside the sacrificial hall. And all were so surprised and stunned by the Rupa of Bhagavan. It was full of effulgence, brightness. And Mahabali and all the acharyas thought that as if the sun god is walking inside the sacrificial hall, or the four Sanat Kumara rishis, they were, one of them were coming like this. They all were so stunned to see it. And they automatically got up seeing this Vamana avatara or Vamana Rupa of Bhagavan. They all just automatically stood from their seats and worshipped Bhagavan. Especially Mahabali, he just worshipped Bhagavan. He didn't understand who he was, but he worshipped him, and Bhagavan also entered in this beautiful rupa. Munjaya me kalaya vita mupavita jidottaram jadilam vamanam vipram maya manavakam harim pravishtam viksha bhrugavaha sashishyaste sahagnibihi pratyagruhnan samutthaya samshiptastasya tejasa. He was wearing that small form of brahmachari rupa. He was wearing that girdle of munja grass, and he's wearing that upper garment as that skin of that antelope given by the Bhumi Devi. And he is having the Aksharamala in one hand, which was given by Saraswati Devi, Kamandalu on the other hand, which was given by Lord Brahma. And he was having a small turf on his head and the Brahmachari Rupa, and were walking majestically inside the sacrificial hall, and everyone worshipped him. And Mahabali immediately offered him a seat and made him to sit, and washed his feet and sprinkled that water on his head. So Mahabali, even though he is an Ashura, he could sense some divinity in that brahmacharya. So he worshipped him and he asked, Swagatam te namastubhyam Brahman kim karavamate Brahmarshinaam taba sakshan manye tvamaryav buttaram. I welcome, Brahmachari. From your tejas itself, I understand that you are great in the austerity. You are you are the essence of the tapas. I understand from your tejas on your face itself. What do you want? What can I do for you? Well, I understand that you have come here to ask for something. I understand that. What do you want? What can I give you? Do you want this Rajya? Do you want this village, some villages, gold, some damsels, some apsharas, any good meal, horses, whatever, anything, whatever you want, I will give you. Like this, Mahabali said it to the Vamana avatara of Bhagavan Sri Hari. What did Vamana Bhagavan ask to Mahabali? We will see in my next upload. Om Namo Narayana Khila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Om Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.